People do believe their own bullshit, that they're fucking famous, but you're not. You just done that. Like, I've been in relationships my whole life. The only problem is I've got a severe medical condition. That's something that's really, it's took a lot of work, and like I said, I've been close to giving up on this project a lot of times. When I put this out there, I'm going to be putting it out for free. Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm going to be putting it out for free because I want to use my platform in the right way.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Don Diaries, and today we have a very special guest. We have fitness influencer, we have TV reality star and author, Mr. Anton Danyluk. How are we doing, bro? Thanks for coming on.
I'm very impressed with that intro, because usually I just get Anton Love Island. So the fact that you've actually named all the things I do, I'm very happy about that.
Of course, bro. And I pronounced the second name correct as well.
Yes, you did.
So what's the origins of that then? Where's that from?
So that comes from Ukraine. My dad's dad was Ukrainian.
Right, okay.
My dad's mum's Italian, and my mum's dad was Burmese, which is next to Thailand.
Right, okay.
So yeah, the only Scottish thing about me is my accent.
Yeah. Not your tan and that,
no. That's sunbeds.
And listen, thank you so much for coming through, mate. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, I actually want to kind of dive a wee bit deeper into you, your story, you know, everything that you've got going on in life as well. I don't want the to be thinking that we're just here to talk about Love Island, because we're definitely not. So
yeah, that's music to my ears. Yeah. When you told me that, I was very, very happy.
Yeah,
about that.
for sure.
It's obviously a massive part of my life, and it's something that's given me a massive, massive platform. However, it's not the only part of my life, and you'll find out a lot more about that as we get deep into our conversation.
Yeah, I like that, mate. And obviously this is the second time that we've met now. I think the first time that we met in the gym.
Third time. We've met twice in the gym. So the first time in the gym, you came up to me and we done a little piece to camera together, didn't we?
I used you for clout.
Yeah. Just as bad as a table hole, basically. God, it's all right, don't worry about it, it's cool. Nah, but you were a nice enough kid, and you know, I really like what you're doing on social media. It's good to see you growing as well. So when you asked me to come on, it was a no-brainer, mate.
I appreciate that a lot, Mo. No, that means a lot. Thank you very much. And yeah, I just want to kind of go right back to the beginning, if you want to call it then, and talk to me about young Anton. Young Anton before primary school, going into primary school, what was it like?
Yeah, I mean, I've came from a really, really good background in terms of parents. Like, my mum and dad are very, very loving towards me. I mean, they had actually struggled to have kids. I think that my mum had like 3 miscarriages.
Oh my God.
So when I came along, it was like
the
lucky child. And they always laugh because I came out with a double crown in my head.
Right, okay.
And apparently that's a sign of good luck. So my mum said he's a lucky baby, you know, when I came out. And yeah, I've just always been brought up with a lot of love, very, very close to my family. So my upbringing was couldn't have been better in any way. My mum and dad both are business people. They've been in the popcorn business since 1991. I can't do the quick maths there. I was trying to think, maybe I'm just a reality star.
Maths is a mass jump point, man.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, they started their own popcorn business in 1991. They were the first makers of popcorn in Scotland. So seeing them working so hard when I grew up, they were not in a financially good place a lot of the time, just because they were working and building their business. And over the years, I start to see the business grow, then become a little bit more successful. And that's probably what always gave me my drive going forward in life.
No, I like that, yeah. And I think I'm the exact same as you. I'm quite fortunate that I come from, you know, a very kind of supportive family and a supportive background as well. And yeah, it definitely helps. And that's so interesting about the popcorn as well, because that is actually one of the questions that I wanted to ask you about, because I remember you then rebranded. Or did you rebrand the popcorn, or did you just bring out your own?
So my mum and dad were very, very smart when I was on Love Island. Obviously, they used the clout.
They used their own son for clout, yeah.
So they put a big picture of me on the face of their popcorn, effectively, and they called it their binge busting range. And it was great for sales during that time, as you can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Even in terms of like fitness and that, though, obviously it isn't good to be sitting scanning popcorn 24/7, but it is one of the kind of low calorie snacks.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very low calorie snack. And to be fair, like, if we're talking like plain popcorn, it's like one of the best sources of carbs you can have. It's actually a complex carb as well. So mccornspopcorn.co.uk.
You got to plug it, man. Yeah. You got to plug it.
Nah, but like it is a really healthy snack. Obviously, when you start adding certain things to it, of course, it can become more calorific, like anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so then we kind of leave primary school then. Whereabouts are you actually from, mate?
So I was born in Livingston,
okay.
And I lived there until I was about, I think, 5. Then mum and dad bought like basically a scrapyard out in just outside Airdrie, a big scrapyard. It was a 30-acre site, but it was just full of rubbish, right? Literally, the story is it took 26 skips to get rid of all the rubbish when they bought it. But it was an older, but like farmhouse, and yeah, they got rid of all the rubbish, and they've just developed it over the years as it went on. So we moved there. If we're talking about sort of from that point where I went into high school, that was probably the real defining factor for me, because in primary school I was always fairly popular, like I always got on with people. But as I went into high school, I became overweight because I come from a foreign background, mixed foreign background. There was just good food in the house. So myself and my dad, like honestly, we would literally eat a loaf of bread with dinner at night, like to scrape the pans and everything. So by the time I got into high school, I was overweight. And as a consequence of that, you know, kind of, I'm not saying like I suppose I'm mixed race in a way, like I didn't look like everyone else. I was overweight. I was an easy target to be picked on. So yeah, for me, that was a little bit of a difficult time for me. And then when I was about 15, I quit my football, and I was actually playing with Rangers at the time. Believe it or not, I know, but that was, okay, yeah, you know, I was playing for Rangers at the time, and I quit my football completely, started taking certain days off school because I had swimming. The reason I quit football is I didn't want to get changed in the change rooms with guys, because they were making certain comments about how I was overweight. And obviously then when I stopped exercising, along with continuing the way I was eating, I gained more weight. So my mum got to a stage where she said that like she could see how unhappy I was. I wasn't wanting to do anything. I wasn't wanting to socialise. And I was just getting into this rut. And she literally started dragging me to the gym at 5:30 in the morning before school. Right? And she introduced me to one of her good friends as a bodybuilder, and literally just put me in his hands every single morning before school. And yeah, then what I noticed within the first couple of weeks, I instantly started to feel better. Obviously didn't have a six-pack after a couple of weeks, but when I started to feel better, it made me start to want to go more. Then as my body started to change, then obviously I continued to go even more. And yeah, I became more confident, I became happier, and obviously I looked great. And I wanted from that day on, because I basically decided that fitness completely changed my life, and I want to help as many people as possible do the exact same.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like that, because I've spoke about that in good depth before as well. I think a lot of people, when it comes to, you know, starting a fitness journey or when they want to lose weight, all they're really kind of thinking about is, oh, I want to do this to look class. Yeah. But they often don't realise all the other benefits that comes along with it. And exactly what you just said there, like fitness changed my life. And it's the same with me. I've told this story about 3 times now in this podcast. I don't want to keep going over it, but I was working in a bank, and when I left school, didn't really have a clue about what I wanted to do, and I almost kind of went to the gym to use that as a distraction, almost away from everything, and that's how I kind of fell in love with it. But I mean, I've got no doubt in my mind that I would not be sitting here talking to you today if I didn't go to the gym and lift up those dumbbells for the first time. So that's pretty crazy to think about, man, for sure.
Yeah, like you said, it's more than just the look. I mean, as much as 9 out of 10 people go for just the body image side of it, mentally it does affect you and your confidence. When your body starts to change, your mind changes and your confidence changes as well, for sure. And I want to quickly then talk about the kind of high school times as well, because that's why I was so looking forward to having a conversation with you, because I relate to you so much, and I really do, and I mean that, because I was the exact same when I went to school, and pretty much all my life I've pretty much been overweight, all right, and all kind of through primary school, but it started getting like worse and worse in high school. Not to the point that I was like bullied, like I was in quite like a popular group, if you want to say. However, in that popular group, my friends would have digs at me for kind of being the fat one, and I used to always just kind of play it off as a joke and I laugh, I don't care, and I was laughing, but then I'd go home to my mum and I'm like, nah, this is getting to me. And I think especially in high school as well, when you're growing up and, I don't know, there's girls around, and it's just, it's a hard thing to deal with, and especially when you feel like there's kind of no hope, you know, you try and lose a wee bit of weight and nothing really works, and when you've got an uncomfortable relationship with food, then it definitely doesn't help either. No, and like you said, when you're in high school as well, I think your ego's so high, and the point that you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to show people that it's actually getting to you, and it is, and that's something that happened with me, and naturally I just like literally just got forced to go to the gym initially. and then it would change my life.
Sorry for interrupting the episode. I know it is a pain. However, I need to tell you about the official sponsor of the Don Diaries, Black Rooster. Genuinely, I absolutely love Black Rooster, and I'm not just saying that. Every meal that they have fits into my calorie macro goals, meaning I can still go to the gym, but also still enjoy a nice scran after it as well. So definitely get a Black Rooster. When you were in high school, then how did it make you feel when, you know, people were bullying you or calling you names and picking on you? So
again, I just probably, at the time, I felt really just embarrassed, is probably the overriding emotion, was embarrassment. Especially because it was funny, because in my year, I was quite popular with the people in my group. And then it was older guys that made the comments. And I always tell this story, and it's so silly, right? But it's one story that literally haunts me my whole life. So when I went into high school, I was about 12. Well, I was 12 at the time. And what had happened was there was this older guy that was 16, right? And he came from a Italian background as well, and he was overweight. So the guys in his year said to me, because they were the ones that started picking on me, they were like, Anton, you and Max are the exact same. The only difference is you're 12 and you're 12 stone, and he's 16 and he's 16 stone. And I look back at that comment now and I think, like, it's such a stupid comment, but it really affected me and really got to me. And it's funny, I remember seeing the guys out like a few years later, like as in when I was older, got in shape and that, and they had their beer bellies and whatever, and they were like, oh, Anton, you look really good. And I was like, don't fucking think you're my mate. Like, you've haunted me my whole life. Like, and I was like, well, you look like shit. But it's funny because when I look back on it now, if they guys maybe never made their comments, I actually used that in a positive way to then change my life. And I actually should have probably thanked them rather than, like, if it was now, this I'm talking about when I was 18, I'd done this, but if it was now, I'd
it is
like,
now.
Yeah.
It is now, thank them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? But you're right. So they guys really, their comments is what made me and gave me that drive. So rather than giving them a dig when I was 18, I really should have thanked them. And I did. And sometimes you go through things in life and you think that it's a negative, but sometimes it can just be a positive in disguise.
Yeah, well, I suppose it just depends on what way you're looking at the situation. I think you can either take it two ways. You can sit and cry and do nothing about it, or, you know, you can be strong and actually do something about it as well and make the change, because at the end of the day, obviously, there's help out there and stuff, but it's down to the individual, and the only person that's going to be able to change that person is them themselves as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
No, I like that you use that as a positive sign as well. So take it then, you started going into the gym, you know, when you were in high school. So what then happens when you leave high school?
So as soon as I left high school, I actually had a scholarship for my football to play in America. But what had ended up happening was I was meant to go to America to study sports science. I had this scholarship, but I also was dating a girl that had been, well, it was my girlfriend for 3 years. So that was a factor in me not wanting to go alongside the other reasons. Another reason was during the summer from going from high school to university, I started working for a boot camp company. So basically I was just doing work experience, absolutely free, and I was just helping like clean up the equipment if people were, the main instructor was taking the class, and then helping them like with the form, like because there was a big class of like 50 people. And then I just kind of I just looked around one day and I was just like, there's a field of people, there's barely any equipment, I could do this myself.
Right, okay.
And I'd got speaking to the guys that owned the company prior to having this thought, and they'd basically said to me, look, Anton, there's no real point in going to university if you want to come out and be like a fitness instructor, because ultimately you'll go and get your degree, fair enough, great, you'll have a sports science degree, whatever, and you'll take 4 years to get that. But you'll still need to sit the same qualifications in order to teach people fitness than what you can just do now. You can do the qualifications, and then you can literally gain 4 years experience in the industry. And I just thought, that's a no-brainer. So I never went to uni, and then I literally worked with them for a few months, and then I literally just started out my own boot camp. So the story's quite funny because it might sound a little bit arrogant, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to say it how it was said in that particular day. I came home and my mum says, right, you need to stop like working for them. It's like, our people don't work for people. That was her exact saying.
Right, okay.
And I was like, but mum, like, well, how would I go about it? And she went, just, you've got a field there. Start up a field, like I said earlier, we had a 20-acre site. Just go out, do leaflets, and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? And that's what I did. Yeah. So we literally, obviously, first boot camp put on, I think I had 2 people turn up to it. And then I had a few where no one turned up, of course. That's just the nature of business. So what I then started to do was literally just during the day, just get a big pile of leaflets and just go around houses and just put them through the doors. And I would literally spend 4, 5, 6 hours doing that all day because I had nothing else to do. Yep. Then I would have my class at night. And before I knew it, my boot camp went from 2 people to 50 people. From the 50 people mark, it just kind of got a name for itself in our local area and people started coming. I then eventually started doing indoor classes as well because the weather in Scotland's not so great. Yeah. So we had a small like woodshed. I knocked that down and put like TRX ropes in it and just like standard equipment, basic equipment in there. Started doing like group classes, etc. Started doing some personal training. And then the business just continued to grow and grow until about, I would say, maybe I was about 21. And then what I started to really realise was that a lot of times adults weren't attending classes was because they didn't have childcare. Right. And what I then done is because obviously I wanted to help kids as well because I was overweight as a kid. I didn't want kids to go through what I went through. What I decided to do was my adults classes were fully booked every day, all throughout the week. So I decided to hire another instructor to take my adults classes. I went and done my kids courses to learn how to teach kids how to exercise. And I thought, right, okay, I need to pay this instructor £25 an hour to cover my class. That means I only need 5 kids to cover his wage. That's it. Mm-hmm. So then before I know it, all the guys that are doing the adults classes start bringing their kids, and I started doing kids classes at the same time as adults classes, and my business basically doubled overnight. So by the time I was like 22, I had a really successful business. You know, I was jumping about in a Porsche at 22, thinking I was a man, and life was really good at that point.
Yeah. You've not really got a care in the world, and I'm telling you that because I'm only a year away from being 22. Yeah. No, well, away from actually 22, I'm only 23, but that's really inspiring me, because I didn't know that about you. Obviously, the fact that you've essentially started in a field and now obviously look at the position, not even where you are just now, but the position that you got to kind of back then as well. And that's so interesting as well, the way that your kind of brain worked there in the sense that, right, okay, people aren't coming because they're not bringing their kids. Yeah. Let's try and do a qualification so that they've got no other place to go. Yep,
absolutely. And that leads us nicely onto probably the Love Island section in a little bit. But yeah, it's weird, like a kid's fitness thing actually what led to me going on Love Island, believe it or not. Right, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, so at that point, my classes are fully booked. My adults classes are fully booked. I then started doing summer kid boot camps, right? So what would happen is, again, what was the overlying problem during the kids' summer holidays? Parents didn't have anywhere to put their kids. So what I did was I took kids between 9 and 3, like the school hours. And what I would do is they would come to the ranch at the time, and I would teach them about healthy eating. I would teach them about like chores and like making their bed, etc. I would put them into teams, so team building stuff, and obviously make them do some exercise as well. And yeah, this went really, really well. I mean, I was having 30 kids booked on a week during this full school summer holidays. I was charging £100 a kid, so I was doing like $3,000 extra a week over the summer just on this. So business was great, and then obviously I then really, really put my gym together and opened my gym to the public when I was 23. So I put together a fully equipped gym, really invested in like all techno gym stuff. And then, I just leading up to before I went on Love Island, fully equipped gym, classes full, life was good. And that's why it's quite nice to come on these things, because I think people always just assume that you went on Love Island and life's great because after Love Island. My life was cushy before Love Island. It was very, very good before Love Island because I'd worked so hard from 17 and got my business to a very good position at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And leading up then, is that the ranch then? Is that the ranch?
So this site that my mum and dad bought that I was telling you back
the scrapyard. Yeah,
scrapyard. Over the years, they just started developing it in the sense of like literally just cleaning stuff up, building bits here and there, whatever. But it was all wood sheds, etc., just for they're shit, basically.
Activities.
Activities
in the woodshed.
When I actually think about it, I don't know what they were building half the stuff for, but there was just all these like rooms there. And then what had happened was, like I said, when I started to get my boot camps get really busy and we started to need indoor spaces, I realised that we could actually utilise these rooms in a lot of way. So it was quite good, because one thing I will always say about mum and dad is even when I was like 5, 6 years old, if I wanted a PlayStation, right, I would come in from school and I'd be like, Mum, Dad, like these kids have got a PlayStation, can I get one? And Mum, I would always remember Mum go to me, she'd go, oh well, how much is a PlayStation, son? I think that at the time they were like 200 quid. I probably couldn't even get a controller for that these days, but yeah, they're probably about 200 quid order at the time. And she'd go, okay son, that's X amount of hours in the factory. And I would have to go in and pack boxes in the factory. But that done one of two things for me at that age. Was one, and there's no disrespect to anyone that has any sort of manual job or anything like that, but it made me realise I didn't want a job like that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That was the first thing that made me realise that I never wanted a job, because I hated every minute in it.
Yeah.
But secondly, it gave me work ethic as well. And when I got to obviously the ranch side of things as well, I would actually, it's funny because it got to the stage where I was paying my dad like for $5,000 a month rent to use the facility, but it was always put in a business structure so that I would learn. And that's what I loved. Whereas a lot of my friends at the time had been given a lot of things and I was never given anything, which was always other than love. That was the only thing I was ever given.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say there, mate, because I think, you know, it's obviously clear that you come from a good background in that as well, if you don't mind me saying, and you obviously had a lot of land and stuff like that. So you come from a good background, but there would be a lot of parents then that would just spoil their kids.
Yes.
You know, they've got money and just think, right, okay, you can go and get whatever you want, but what is that really teaching them? Do you know what I mean? Because once they grow up and then it's like they've got no kind of concept of how the world works. I do feel like a lot of people in like private schools and stuff that are just, I don't know, you meet them, they're just so rude and like so out of touch with everything. But I think, I really, really respect your mum and dad, the fact that they still made you stay grounded and made you work for what you wanted.
But I mean, how can you appreciate it? And the reason I actually say this is because my ex at the time, her dad was very wealthy, and he just used to buy her everything. I mean, I bought myself a Porsche for my 21st birthday, right? I literally bought myself that. He went and bought her, because I'd done that for myself, he bought a Porsche and a Rolex. That was like the level that I was in. So people in that world and the values she had were terrible, like absolutely terrible. And I'm just so grateful that I was raised in the right way, because it has made me the man I am today, even though at the time I probably didn't get it. But now that I'm older, I get it a lot.
Yeah, you do now. And how old are you as well?
I was 29 on my birthday a couple of months ago.
Yeah, okay, cool, 29. So, and this was about 23 or so, the ranch was running pretty good then, yeah?
Yeah, 23, things were really, really good. And if you want, I can just dive into the next part of the story, because if you're ready to go.
LI, Love Island.
Yeah,
let's
part
do
of
it.
the story.
I didn't realise you were that young, like when
24,
you were...
so by the time it came round, it was 24. So yeah, right, touching back on the story then, basically we started doing these kids boot camps, and what had actually happened at the end of these kids boot camps was quite amazing. The parents were coming up to me at the end of the week when I would do the kids graduation. So I would do a graduation for them at the end of each week, where I'd give them a certificate, I'd give them a little ranch hat.
That's cute,
and
man.
Do that sort of thing to celebrate their success for that week. But the parents at the graduations would come up to me and go, Anton, like, I can't believe what you're doing with my kid. Like, they're making the bed in the morning now. They are wanting to eat healthy. They're wanting to exercise. It's amazing what you've done with them in a week. And at the time, I was really, really, and I still am, really into listening to like motivational stuff. And that's became quite big over the years. But when I was 23, like when I told my mates I was listening to motivational stuff, I was doing my gratitude, The Secret, they thought I was mental. Like they were going to get pissed at the weekend. So it wasn't normal the way it is now. So what had ended up happening was I was doing my cardio one morning and I was listening to Tony Robbins. I don't know if you know.
I know Tony Robbins. Yeah.
So Tony Robbins is like, at the time was the greatest, the number one speaker, motivational speaker in the world. I think Eric Thomas has overtaken him now, but at the time he was. And one of the things he said was, success leaves clues. Find someone that's doing what you're doing and pretty much copy it. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. So what it led me to believe was, right, I'm doing these kids boot camps. I know I want to hit more people with that, because these parents are coming to me. They're clearly they're clearly impressed with what I'm doing with their kids. There's got to be some way to get more people involved in this, rather than just bringing them to a boot camp. So at the time, 2016, this was, 2016, sorry, so I wasn't 23 at that point with the kids boot camp, I was 21 at that point when we're talking about this phase. So 2016 this was, when the kids camps were going kind of really, really well. And like I said, I kind of got this idea. I was like, right, what if I bring out a kids exercise DVD? Right? So random. But at the time, DVDs were really big. So what had happened was I was like, right, search on Google, kids exercise DVDs UK. Tony Robbins says, find someone and like find out how they've done it. Nothing in the UK. No one was doing it. So I was like, oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's some in America, etc., but nothing in the UK. So I was like, right, that's good. Then I was like, right, okay, right, let's get this. Right, most successful exercise DVD of all time in the UK. Take a guess at who it was.
What, would I know them? Yeah.
Just who would you think would have the most successful exercise DVD of all time in the UK? And I always get two answers to this. Always two.
The most successful. It's not somebody weird like Jimmy Savile or something.
No.
I'm like, please no, man.
No, just like what would you think?
I don't know, man. I don't really know.
Well, right, I'll give you what people usually say. People usually say Mr. Motivator. You're probably too young to remember.
I don't even know who that is, man.
Yeah, Mr. Motivator. And the other one was Davina McCall. That was the two that always got said, right?
I know Davina McCall.
Yeah, right,
She's a bit of a MILF, yeah.
But that was the two that always got said. The answer is Charlotte Crosby. That's Charlotte from Geordie Shore.
Yeah.
So Charlotte is quite famously known for pissing the bed on TV, right? like literally, that's pretty much how she's famous.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, I must have typed in the wrong thing. Did I type in fitness DVDs? And I was like, yeah. And I looked up, I was like, wait, what the hell? So I was like, right, okay, I need to find out who her management is, because her management must be fucking good if like they're selling the most exercise DVDs all time, and this is a reality star. It's like crazy. So I come running into the house from the office. I'm like, Mum, this DVD, Charlotte Crosby, that's her management. Can you phone them for me? Because I didn't want to phone up the management myself and be like, I'm Anton, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this kind of thing. So I was like, look, can you do it for me? And my mum's my biggest fan, so she's going to do it better than I ever could have done it anyway. So my mum phones up this company, right? And just as innocent as you like, when I actually think about it, like, I think, how were we so naive to think that we could just phone up this company and bring out a kids exercise DVD? Like, but I think the naivety actually worked. So we phone it up, and my mum's like, hi there, my son Anton Danyluk runs his own fitness business. He's looking to bring out a kids exercise DVD. Would you be interested? We've seen the work you've done with Charlotte. And they just went, who? Is he a celebrity? And Mum's like, well, no, but he's worked in the fitness industry for the last 7 years. He's worked with kids for the last 4 years, blah, 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 blah. And they just turned around and they went, look, I'm really, really sorry. We only deal with celebrities. And my mum just turned round, right? I'll remember it because I was sitting next to her. And obviously I'm not hearing the other end of the conversation. I'm just hearing what my mum's saying. And she just went, have you seen my fucking boy? And I was like, Mum, you can't say that. And
Yo, all my chances have been fucked now.
Like, what the hell?
That's brilliant, man.
So apparently the manager, they just started laughing, right? And they went, look, with all due respect, like, we do only deal with celebrities. Mum says, look, can I just send you a few pictures of my son? Just give me your email address, let me send you a few pictures of my son. That's all I ask, right? And I think they just wanted her off the phone, so like, take it, take that email address, and get this mad Scottish woman off the phone. You know what I mean? And they gave her the email address. So at the time, funnily enough, I'd just done a photo shoot, a topless photo shoot in the gym, etc. Sends over the photos. In about 10 minutes, I get a call back. Can we speak to Anton? It's like, right, okay, so I come on the phone and I'm like, hi Anton, like your mum's came on the phone and, you know, she says that you're looking to do a kids exercise DVDs, but have you ever thought about doing TV work? I was like, well, no, not really. What have you got in mind? And they're like, well, we could get you on X on the Beach and this and that. And at the time, X on the Beach was quite big, but it would just be going on as like one, it wasn't even celebrities at the time that they did, so it would just go on that. And I was like, look, with all due respect, like, which I'm going to sound so ironic saying this, right? But this is what I said, bearing in mind this was 2016. I says, look, with all due respect, I've got no interest in doing reality TV. I've been building up my business from a very young age, and I just want to bring out a kids' exercise DVD. Can we do that? And they're like, look, Anton, effectively you're a nobody, basically, is what they said to me. And in this industry, you kind of need to be a somebody to make something happen. And I was like, well, look, like I said, I've got no interest in that. I'm taking quite seriously, like, I don't want to go down that route. And I had a girlfriend, so I don't think I could have really done it as well. That was the main reason.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't think this will go down too well.
Good loyal guy, so you are, Anton.
Yeah. So bearing in mind this is 2016, I go on Love Island in 2019. So what has ended up happening was they followed me on Facebook at the time, and then they followed me on Instagram later down the line. But what they started doing was like messaging me every few months. Do you fancy doing this? Do you fancy doing that? And I was like, no. So over the years, it's funny because my business like went from there to here very, very quickly, from a young age right to there. And then it just kind of like leveled out. Like, I'm still making good money. I still have a good life for myself, but I just don't think life without growth is anything. Like, I felt unfulfilled because I wasn't still growing. So what had then happened, ironically, was in 2019, the February, I'll always remember it, I became single on Facebook, right? Anton Danyluk is now single.
Oh yeah, you used to have the relationship status.
Yeah, exactly. Anton Danyluk is now single. Yeah. This management phoned me up literally hours later. Hi Anton, like, see you're single now. Do you fancy doing Love Island this year? And I went, why not?
Yeah.
And, you know, that was literally the story. It took like 3 years to actually realise that I'm almost banging my head against a brick wall, like trying to expand my business more. And I just seen it totally as a business opportunity. It came to me, like, I still had to go through all the phases that you have to go through to apply for Love Island. Basically, all it meant was 150,000 people applied for my show that year. 150,000, right? And this is what happened. They basically, when you're sending your video to Love Island, like, there's people looking for the videos. But what happens with this sort of fast track phase is all it means is your video goes to the right people to see. That's all. It doesn't mean they have to like you or not, but they'll look at it because it's been given from a management company, so they'll look at it. So smashed the video. And I knew, and in that day, I always remember it in February, I wrote in my gratitude book, I wrote, first day in Love Island, bearing in mind this is February, I wrote, first day in Love Island, the 3rd of June, 2019. So not only did I predict in February, or visualise in February, that I was going to get on the show out of 150,000 other people, I predicted the date, and I predicted that I would start out of 150,000 people. And the truth is, we actually went in on the 1st of June, but I think that was close enough.
Yeah, that is close enough. But I'll let you away with that, I think, man. But
so for me, that was a big point in my life. Like, I practiced gratitude and visualization my whole life. And my mate, like I said to you earlier, my mates thought it was mad. Yeah. But that freaked me out. That seriously freaked me out. It's
crazy going on to the kind of law of attraction and the gratitude stuff and that as well. I started kind of almost practicing it in lockdown, the very, very first lockdown, because it was actually my friend Jamie that introduced me to the book The Secret, and I never read, but that had big words on the page, so I was like, right, cool, I can read this. But I read that, and I remember just like every chapter, I just felt like $1 million after it. It was crazy. Then you started to do like the wee exercises that it says. It's like picture like a specific feather. Yeah. And I'm out a walk the next day. I couldn't even remember anything about the feather. And I'm looking down, I just see this feather and I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Signs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because when I first discovered The Secret, I probably discovered it I think I was about 21 at the time. And I just split up my first girlfriend, and we'd been together for 6 years, so I was going through a really bad time, like proper heartbroken, like properly. Yeah. And I really struggled, and it was funny because someone said to me, oh, well, have you read The Secret? And I was like, oh, yeah, like, no, I've not read it, whatever. A couple of days later, I'd never heard of this book in my life. Then someone else mentioned it, and I thought, oh, that's a coincidence. Like, I've not heard of this, and I've heard that twice now. Then the third person mentioned it. When the third person mentioned it, I was like, right, okay, I need to read this book. And when I read the book, I realised that had happened for a reason, that I'd heard the 3 people say that. That wasn't a coincidence, whereas I thought it was just a coincidence at the time. And then once I read the book, I realised that was meant to happen at that particular point in my life.
Yeah, for sure. It's so crazy to hear that story, obviously. Like, I just never knew that you going on to Love Island basically stemmed from just teaching kids in your garage, essentially, what it was, and then it kind of stemmed from that. And you were on, in my opinion, the biggest season of Love Island as well.
No, it's not your opinion, it's fact.
Yeah.
It was, the fact, the figures state it. It was the biggest season of Love Island. Probably, arguably the best season of Love Island.
Yeah, I loved it. I've actually, you asked me if I watched Love Island before. Yeah. The recent series I've not really kind of tuned into, but I remember like when your series was on and a few after, but you had some like heavy hitters in there, like you, Maura, Amber, Tommy, Molly May, Michael, like
big season.
Yeah, a very big season.
A lot of us have been grateful, like we're very, very grateful to have done so well from the show. I mean, coming off the back end of some of the other shows, I mean, one of the seasons they came off the show and COVID hit, so I mean, we were very, very fortunate at the time we went on, and obviously I was very fortunate myself to have stayed on the show for as long as I did, especially not coupling up with someone.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I know. You clutched up, bro.
Oh, literally. I think the good thing was with the Love Island thing was I was playing up this character to get on, because I very much had in my head that I have to stand out here. Mm-hmm. I'm from Scotland. Like, there's never been a Scottish guy on this show before.
That's what I was going to ask you as well. Were you the first
Scottish guy ever on the show?
I thought so.
And I knew that was a big thing to play off. And when I was doing my interviews, like, I just always showed like my personality, how funny I was. I wouldn't go in and say, oh, by the way, I'm really, really funny. Mm-hmm. I would show it. Yeah. Right. And that worked really well for me throughout the process. But what had happened was there was a few jokes that I was actually cracking, like leading up to before we done the VT that everyone's seen, that famous fucking VT that everyone's seen, where I look like an absolute dickhead. So to give you an example and give you some context around this, what had actually happened was in the interviews, right, I was kind of preparing in my head what I thought they could ask me. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I thought they could have asked me was like, Anton, would you say you're a relationship type of guy? Mm-hmm. Right? And I says, no, sorry, would you say you're a player? Because I knew they would ask me that, because it's kind of standard to what you'd ask a guy. Yeah. So I says, well, look, I wouldn't say that I was a player. Like, I've been in relationships my whole life. The only problem is I've got a severe medical condition. And they like, looked at me like genuinely concerned. They're like, are you okay? I was like, it's called a wandering eye. And I was cracking it like totally point on. But then when it actually came to doing my VT, right, you're standing behind this like big wall thing, right? And you walk round, and as you walk round, there's a chair sitting there, and your Instagram's on the screen, like fully out. You sit in the chair with your Instagram behind you, and there's about 50 people in front of you with cameras going like this. And I wasn't nervous for any of the phases leading up to that, but that I just was like dead nervous. And that way, when you get really nervous, you can't really focus on what you're saying. So then he went, so Anton, tell me about this wandering eye. And I was like, I shan't go to Bunsen, I've got a wandering eye. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. And it just, the execution was so bad. Yeah. And I just looked like such a dickhead. So I walk on the show, this guy that's got his fucking eyebrows done, fucking pretty boy, shredded to the bone. And then I see my mum shaves my bum, for fuck's sake. The nation hated me. Like, Scotland actually had a GoFundMe page to send me back to Scotland from Love Island. I was hated in the country for the first 2 days. But obviously, luckily enough, I never seen this, but my mum and dad got some real hate, and it was a real tough time for them to see how much people were really disrespecting me and saying a lot of shit about me. Like, it was embarrassment in Scotland. But luckily enough, because I'm the way I am, I shown that on TV, and obviously I couldn't have went any lower than I was because I was hated that much. I was favourite to go out. And then people started to see episode after episode my true self. Mm-hmm. And then that's why I believe the nation fell in love with me at that time. Yeah,
and I think Love Island's always so weird, because I feel like the first couple of days, everybody just hates everybody because you've not really kind of lived with the characters, if you want to say. Whereas as the season goes along, you kind of grow and grow and grow as well.
And what you've got to remember is we're all really nervous as well. We're on national TV. We're in an environment where there's literally cameras in every corner. There's a camera in the fucking toilet. We're in a completely unrealistic environment where we're being watched by millions of people. We're trying to not embarrass ourselves with the opposite sex and with the rest of the nation. Like, if you're going to chat up a bird on a night out and you get pied or whatever, right? It's fine. You just tell your mates, oh, no, I didn't really fancy her. Like, I fucked her off. But you're getting seen by millions of people. So it's hard environment. Yeah. And yeah, it does take a little bit of time adjusting to. But for me, what had really happened was I just kind of, as the weeks went on, and I was very close to going out the first and second week. After that first week, when I genuinely thought I was out the first week. And after that point, I just promised myself, I went, just enjoy every fucking moment of this. Just be yourself and enjoy every moment.
Yeah, man.
That's it. And I did.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, I was stayed in there the longest out of all the boys. In the villa that year, and I just missed out in the final from the first day, which was amazing.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. And even what you were touching on about the hate thing as well, see, like up in Scotland, again, I've spoke about this a wee bit now, but I feel like there's just such a bad mentality up here, such a kind of toxic mentality. Like, there you go, first Scottish guy going on Love Island and stuff, and not we should be, celebrating it or anything, but we should also kind of have your back a wee bit because you're one of our own, yet you see you saying stuff about a wandering eye, maybe thinks a bit cringe, and just instantly that's you like hated your mum and dad, getting like hate as well. That's just fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do probably notice it more in Scotland because we are such a small country, right? So if someone comes from Scotland and they do that, then it's like you're embarrassing our country. Whereas if someone comes from London and does that, let's say, you're not really embarrassing England, are you? It's just one of the things. But yeah, I mean, if you're going around the route, if you think that Scottish people can be quite small-minded at times, I think that's just standard across like the world, mate, to be honest. I think a lot of people just don't like to see others succeed.
Exactly.
And what they need to realise is like my success or your success doesn't affect the other person's life. Like your success doesn't affect me. We were having that conversation before I came on. You were like, well, thanks for sharing that in my story, but why would I not? Like, I'm coming on your podcast.
I know, I'm just new to this stuff, man.
But no, you're right. Because when I've been with other influencers or whatever, well, actually, I'll give you the prime example. Coming off of Love Island, right? I'd been brothers with these guys from the beginning. Like, I genuinely felt like brothers. Like, honestly, I used to watch the show, and when people used to come on the show and then their mate would leave after they'd known them a week, I'd like, how can you cry? It's been a week. But in that environment, it feels like you're brothers. It feels like you're close. It feels like you've got a connection, if you want to use the Love Island sense. So I've went through this process with these guys, believing they're brothers my whole life. I come off the show, I get the most PAs out of anyone, right? So the personal appearances where you go to the clubs, etc. So I have 86 in 90 days, which was mad. But the boys, rather than being like, oh mate, like that's fucking amazing. Like, we're all making footballers' wages at this point. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It was silly. And I was like, and I'd done well for myself before. Some of these guys never done well for themselves before. They just came from a normal job where what they were making in a month, they were making in an hour now. I was happy for them. But with the other way around, it was very much like, how are you getting all the PAs? Or why did you get that deal? Or what's that got to do with anything? Like, you should be happy for me. And that's what I mean. I just think in life, like, people aren't always happy for you the way you are for them. Yeah,
I think that, to me, that just sounds like jealousy kind of coming out there as well. They've maybe came on the season and thought, this wee Scottish guy, he's not going to do well at this, so he's not going to go far at it, and then they see you coming out and getting all the opportunities and jealous at that. And was that like kind of what everybody then that was like that? Or?
There was a select few.
Okay. I wouldn't tell you names.
No. I wouldn't do that to them anyway. But yeah, there was people that I would never expected from. Let's just say that.
No, it's disappointing, man. Yeah. Disappointing. And I wanted to ask you a kind of question about Love Island as well, because I remember watching an episode maybe like 2 years ago. I think it was the season that was Laura on your season? No, was
Laura
she?
Anderson.
Aye.
No, she was the season before me.
Season before, cool. So I think I was maybe watching her season, and she was in the beach hut or whatever, and I remember just looking at it and kind of deep in Love Island for a second, right? And I've always said this to my friends. To me, it actually fries my nut, right? That you go in is, let's just say, a kind of nobody, right? Like, you've not really got a good kind of following or anything at this point. You go into this villa for however long it is, a long time. You've got no contact with the outside world. You're living in this kind of almost parallel kind of world. And then you step out the villa and then you're just instantly famous. You've got paparazzi in your face, like people screaming at you and all that. Like, how does that, like, I've always wondered, how does that feel and how do you actually adjust to that?
You just have to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I came off the show, I got my phone back. So I'd went from 4,000 followers to 1 million followers in 9 weeks, being on that show.
That's just insane, man.
When we went to the show, obviously prior to Love Island, we walked through the airport with my chaperone, because you had a chaperone that comes and picks you up from your house, takes you to the airport, and you stay with them like until you're to go on the show. Because at this point, you still don't know if you're starting. And when you walk through that airport on the way there, just walk through normally through the airport, don't you? People think it's a bit strange that you've got about 4 suitcases with you, but other than that, you walk through pretty much like no problem. On the way back, we had about 4 security with us. Bearing in mind, we're going through the same airport as Magaluf.
Yeah.
Right? So you can imagine.
Yeah.
You've got people screaming you, Anton, we love you, but like grabbing you, like it is the most surreal experience ever. Because in my head, like I'm just Anton. And still in my head, we just went on Love Island. We're not talented, we're not whatever. And people can take offence to that if they want to, but it's the fucking truth. We sat and talked shit for 9 weeks on a beanbag. Yeah. Asking to have chats with people. Yeah. And people believe their own bullshit. And people do believe their own bullshit, that they're fucking famous, but you're not. You just done that. And it's the public's fault as well, because they make us feel that way. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, for me, I never ever really got it. I still find it weird to this day. I mean, it's obviously calmed down a lot from what it was, but I mean, I still can't really walk anywhere without, I can't go anywhere without someone knowing who I am. Yeah. Put it that way.
Nah, for sure, if you're talking about, yeah.
And then the first one, real point for me was when I first came back to Scotland. So I came back to Scotland, it was the week after Love Island, and the reunion was that Sunday, I believe. And I came to Glasgow to literally buy myself an outfit for the reunion, right? So parks my car up, gets out of Argyle Street, starts walking, right? Just totally naive to it, right? Never even thought. Starts walking. This group surrounds me. Anton, can we get a photo? Can we get a photo? I would have just walked through, no problem. So I started taking a few photos. Before I know it, there's about 500 people around me, and I'm just literally going like this, selfie. I stood there for an hour and it wasn't getting any quieter. My mate had to grab me. We had to get in the car and just go home. So I literally went to try and go to shops. I had to just go and do a round of selfies and then leave. That's how mad it was.
Bro, it's just so crazy to me, because the way that I look at it is, it's not even as if you're getting like built up and getting prepared for the fame, because you're in this environment with no contact with the outside world. You don't have a clue what's going on, and then bam, you're like instantly just massive. Like,
the thing is as well, like, and sometimes it might sound a little bit arrogant saying this, but this is God's honest truth, right? See, when you come off of Love Island at that moment, because people have been watching you for 9 weeks, you're one of the most famous people in the country.
Yeah, easily
one of the most famous people in the country. Like, I mean, just to give you an example, I done a PA at the JD store in Argyle Street. I think it's on Argyle Street anyway. And they always have football players going in. I done my PA. The queue was right all the way back, right up Queen Street and everything. And the manager actually, it's not even like this for football players. They're like, this is crazy. And I've never seen anything like it.
And it'll just be because obviously, see, football, it's probably just kind of young guys. There probably will be some girls in there, obviously, whereas like everybody kind of just watches Love Island now. And also, it's quite big, like global as well. Well, it's massive global. I mean, Margot Robbie, is it not like her favourite series as well? Which is pretty crazy.
It's a big show. And like I said, I will always be grateful for it, because it's allowed me to do things that I've always wanted to do, but on a much bigger scale than I ever could have imagined.
And when you were obviously talking about, going in and being famous and coming out, then what's the flip side of that? Because I feel like we had a conversation that time in the gym where you were kind of saying you're so big, and then a new season comes out, and it's almost like, well,
I mean, what we've got to remember is, like, it's funny, right? And I tell this story quite a lot. When we came out, you go to parties with like the old Islanders, right? So you're at like Love Island parties, or you're at the ITV Awards, or whatever it is, right? And I always remember like a few of them from the season before. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I just remember them going like, look, Anton, just like enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Enjoy every moment of it, because it doesn't always last. And I went like that to Joe, one of the other boys in Sharp. He's just saying that because he's fucking old news. Like, totally, like, genuinely thinking it's never going to end, because like you're
in the moment.
You're in the moment. You're in it. Like, you just think it's never going to end. But then what you start to notice is going from needing security literally around you everywhere you go, which, to be honest, is just an uncomfortable level of fame.
Yeah.
You then start to notice, right, you don't need security anymore. Okay, every second person's asking for a photo now. Now every third person to now, like, you're lucky if you get it once when you go out. But people still know who you are, but they're not as bothered about taking the photo with you as what they were when you first come off the show. So, I mean, I never went in for the fame side of it, and that's the God's honest truth with the story I've told you.
Yeah, the business.
So I never really, that was a bonus. And to be honest, I wouldn't even say it was a bonus. It was actually an inconvenience.
No.
You're out for dinner with your family, people are videoing you. Like, it was just an inconvenience. You couldn't just do your life. Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for it. I always make time, but you know the way I am.
Yeah,
like, I made time with you. I didn't know who you were, made time with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the type of guy I am. I'll always meet someone, they ask for a photo, I'll ask their name. Just because that makes their day. But it is inconvenient to my actual life and my routine. So for me, I mean, it was difficult in the sense of, like, just adjusting back to normal life a little bit. But what I would say is the hardest part was having all this money coming in. Like I said, footballers' wages ridiculous. And obviously then you start naturally spending in that way as you do. Fucking looking at our rates like this and that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Then all of a sudden realising, right, okay, that deal's not coming in. I've not had a deal in a few months, or I've not had that. Luckily enough, I was very business minded in the sense before, because I had my own businesses. I set up certain things, so I was always had some form of income. But you can never ever, like, when you're going from earning a certain amount of money, like, when you start earning less than that, that's what I found difficult over the fame side of it. Going back to earning still very, very good money to your average person, but from earning, like, silly money, if that makes sense. So for me, it was always more that side of it.
Okay, yeah, the business
side.
And Love Island, do you regret it?
Not 1 minute of it. Not 1 minute of it. To be honest, I don't regret anything I do in life, in the sense of, I think that if you do something in life and it doesn't work out, then there was a reason that happened, and that goes back to, you know, the secret side of things.
Yeah.
You learn from the mistakes and
100%.
you move forward, and it's maybe redirecting you. So I do believe in that, and there's not anything I regret at all.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think, you know, mistakes and failures kind of make you, and they make you grow as a person as well. And I'm the same, I don't really regret. I've probably done some bad shit in my life as well, but I don't really regret anything, because I feel like everything's happened in that specific reason to lead me into the position that I'm in today as well. So
absolutely.
Well, let's move on from Love Island then, mate.
We won't speak about Love Island.
I just
I won't speak about Love Island. All the podcasts Love Island.
We'll go on to other things, bro. Don't worry, man. Don't worry.
But that actually happens because, let's get nothing twisted. It is such a big part of my life.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got me to where I am today in a lot of ways. I do believe I still would have got to where I am today in some way, but not for a long time.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And now that you kind of leave Love Island and everything kind of not dies down, but you know, what is then next for you? Because I know that you're doing a few different things. So was it just straight back into kind of PTing then for you? Or?
No, not as such. So there's a few business ventures, okay, but the main one was, well, let's look back at the root of things. What did I want to do when I first went on Love Island? Bring out a kids exercise DVD. So what we've been working on is creating a kids fitness app.
Oh, amazing.
Because obviously DVDs are no longer a thing. So the Can Do Crew, we did launch in January. So the Can Do Crew is basically, I've created a family of 6 characters, and each member of the Can Do Crew teaches the kids a different philosophy.
Oh, amazing, mate.
So we've developed that. That took me 4 years to develop through COVID, etc. Had a lot of issues and a lot of setbacks, put a lot of money into that project. Launched it in January. We had a few little issues with the technology of that, but you know, this happens in business, this happens in life. There is these setbacks, and that was a big one for me, like that, because it took so long to come to fruition. And I've wanted this since I was like 24 basically. I'm 29 now, and it's still not got to the level I want. So that's a big focus of mine, is getting this project off the ground and getting it fully out there and helping as many kids as possible live a healthier life. That's my main, and that's my baby.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, mate. Yeah, for sure. And could I actually ask you about the app then? So what actually is the app? Like, what do they go on and do, the kids?
So basically what the whole idea of the app is to educate and empower the kids of today. So like I said, the cartoon family, each member teaches the kids a different philosophy. So you've got the dad, he teaches the kids how to move their muscles in a safe and effective way.
Yep.
The mum, she teaches the kids about chores. It's important to make your bed, it's important to set the table, etc. You've got the 2 kids. The male kid, he's all about teaching kids how to deal with their emotions, because in this day and age, kids don't know how to deal with their emotions. No. I ran a campaign a few years back, just after I came off Love Island, with a company called Papyrus, and basically they were a suicide prevention company for kids. And what they shown in their statistics was kids as young as 7 years old are taking their own lives. As young as 7.
Horrible,
so
isn't
it shows that kids don't know how to deal with their emotions because they're exposed to so much these days through things like social media. So this character specifically is all about teaching kids how, okay, so this is anger. Why do you feel anger? Blah, 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 blah. But the characters are very fun and upbeat so that it's entertaining for the kids, but very much educating them. They've got another character, the daughter, she basically teaches them about personal hygiene. There was always that smelly kid at school. There always was. And the thing is, if they're not learning these things from their parents, then how would they know any better? So that's where I wanted to bring that character in to make sure that they do learn about that side of things. You've got the dog, he's all about gratitude, having an attitude of gratitude, and he teaches them about that. And lastly, you've got the car. So the car's a Fiat 500, right? He's a small Fiat 500, but he believes he's got the engine of a Ferrari because he fuels his body correctly, and he teaches the kids to do the same. So he's the nutritional navigator, I call him. So yeah, the idea behind the whole thing is to have families interact. So the parents have their back end of the app so they can actually see how their kids are feeling. So for example, if the kid went to school, was getting bullied, similar, we can talk from experience on that. We maybe wouldn't want to tell our parents, but if they can relate to these characters, what they can then do in the app is they can actually say how they feel. That then triggers a notification to the parent's phone to say, just keep this in mind that, you know, your kids said they've not felt too good the last few days.
Oh, that's a really good idea, man.
That's something that's really, it's took a lot of work, and like I said, I've been close to giving up on this project a lot of times because it's drained a lot of money. But when I put this out there, I'm going to be putting it out for free. Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm going to be putting it out for free because I want to use my platform in the right way. So, like I said, that's my main thing. That's something that's been like hitting at the door for years, and I just can't wait till all the little bits are tightened up, and then we can put it out there and really, really change people's lives.
Yeah, bro, can I just say, mate, like genuinely, that is amazing to hear, man. The fact that obviously you're wanting to inspire the youth, and I think it's the best thing to do because eventually they're going to be the future at the end of the day, and maybe they don't, like you say, maybe kids that aren't as privileged and don't have that kind of support background like that you and me come from as well. Like even having like an app there, like you said, that relates to the characters as well. But don't give up on it, mate, because do you know what I was just thinking there as well? The fact that, you know, this has been your kind of dream and goal this whole time. And even though you went on Love Island and you've done all that, you could have just been like, oh, fuck that, I don't care about doing that anymore because we'll get the fame now. So but, don't give up on it, bro.
I'm going to kind of leave a little bombshell here, right? I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but there's something coming up. And it's funny because I've been watching all these setbacks happen. I thought, why the fuck's this happening, right? There's something coming up for me in January that is massive. Okay. Bigger than the first time.
Right, okay.
Bigger than the first time.
Okay, I'm excited, man.
And I now know that this is all going to be lined up for me coming off. And yeah, like I didn't do for the last few years. I just thought to myself, like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like plugging, like I'm talking hundreds of thousands of pounds. I'm not talking chump change. Like hundreds of thousands of pounds went into this. And I'm like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but something inside me just keep going, like it'll come okay. And then I'm getting to a point where I was just like, what if even it doesn't work? And then this opportunities came up and I went, that's why it's took so long.
Amazing, bro. I'm excited as well. Your face as well. I can see the smile on it.
It's funny because like I said, like I just know, like I knew I was going to get on Love Island all the years ago. With this, I'm like, that's why. Yeah,
good shit, bro. And I like that. You've got such a good mindset, a very positive one at that as well. Yeah. And obviously anything that you kind of put your mind towards, it's not like an arrogance thing or a cockiness thing. So I was actually saying this to somebody else the other day. Like I do feel like anything that I do, just put my mind to, I've got the work ethic there, and those two hand in hand usually comes with success. So I always think, right, okay, like even this podcast is like the 3rd episode, but I'm confident in its abilities that it's going to grow and stuff like that. As well,
funnily enough, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, and it was actually the person that filmed my documentary.
All right, okay. We'll touch on that in a second.
Of course, I know there's so much to go through.
I know.
Sorry, mate. But basically, Bruce Lee. Do you know what Bruce Lee is?
Yeah, I know Bruce Lee.
Yeah. So Bruce Lee done an interview years ago, and obviously I wasn't alive. I wasn't born at the time. But he basically said, if I tell you that I'm the best, you'll think I'm cocky. If I don't say I'm the best, you know I'm lying.
Right,
and I was like, I mean, I think if you say things but other people agree with what you're saying, and they actually agree with, no, he is good. Like I always say, like I was one of the best all the time in Love Island, right? And I can confidently stand by that. When like I'm watching my series back now, funnily enough, for the first time.
Is it the first time? Yeah.
I've never ever done it.
Seriously?
The truth is, I know we're getting into Love Island together, I don't want to do this, but the truth is I was too bitter when I came out.
Right, okay.
Because I knew I should have been in the final, and I knew I deserved to be in the final.
Right, okay.
And I was really bitter.
Yeah.
And I was really pissed off.
Yeah,
so I could never watch it back.
Right, okay.
Because I was just like, how's this happened? And that was a time that I actually felt sorry for myself when I shouldn't have. Like there was such a positive, I fucking should have been out in week 1, for God's sake. And I've managed to go through all this. So we're watching it back, and I'm actually watching the season, pissing myself, laughing at myself.
Yeah.
Pissing myself.
You had some good moments on there.
You had some good moments. It's funny that.
You had some good moments.
I actually pissed myself, you know?
For sure.
So like I can confidently say things like that, and I think that when you say it might sound arrogant, but if other people agree with what you're saying, and people have said that about you, it's not arrogance, I don't think.
Nah, definitely not, mate. Definitely not. And obviously you touched on the documentary there, and I would really like to go through that as well. Like I said, I've completely related to you. I absolutely loved the documentary as well. There was actually, is it Aidan Diamond was in it as well. Yeah, I've spoke to Aidan a couple of times, but yeah, I absolutely loved it, and I loved that you were actual, you know, not sharing the message as such, but I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that struggle with body dysmorphia, and even me to this day, right? And I know as well, like I'm not in, you know, crazy shape or anything, absolutely massive or shredded to the bone, but I think when you come from a period of time in your life where you've pretty much been overweight, you've had comments thrown at you and this and that it really, really, really gets to you, man. It really gets to you. And even now, I still do all the things like the body dysmorphia. I do the t-shirt pull.
Yep.
I do this with my finger in my chin to make sure I've not got a double chin anymore and stuff. And again, this might sound vain, but I feel like I can't walk past a mirror or any reflective surface, so even like a car, without looking in it.
Yep.
And it's not to like see if I look good, but it's more to check that like, I'm not fat.
Justification
almost.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And it's, it takes its toll on you.
That's the thing though. I think what people don't realise is for us, that was our childhood trauma. And childhood trauma stay with you your whole life no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm body dysmorphic, right? And I know that people look up to me as like almost sometimes having the perfect male body image. But going back to the documentary, if you look at that scene I do with Aidan, that scene really opened my eyes. Like when I met Aidan, that changed my way of thinking a lot. When I was asked to take my top off, bearing in mind this was in January, and like obviously like you seen my socials, like usually ripped to the bone, whatever.
Yep.
Right. And when I'm not at that stage where I'm ripped, if I'm slightly softer, I'm going through a gaining phase, whatever it may be, I'm embarrassed to take my top off. I won't do it. And I got put in a spot to take my top off in that scene. And I was so uncomfortable, right? And I looked at Aidan, and Aidan's so proud of how he looks. He's like, looks at himself in the mirror, he's striking his pose, and I'm like that with myself. And that's when I realised, I was like, he's got the right attitude. Yeah. He knows to love himself. Yeah, for sure. And I always preach about like learn to love yourself from the inside out, not the other way around. But it's difficult when you've got certain childhood traumas. But Aidan for me was, I learned to love myself more after I met Aidan.
Oh, that's amazing.
He actually really inspired me.
Really? Right. Okay. Yeah. I've actually not met Aidan in person or anything. I've spoke to him a few times on Instagram. Yeah. I think his coach is like kind of round about the same area where I'm from and stuff as well. But no, it's cool to see because Aidan is, like you said, he's very proud. People don't know Aidan's story, so he was like very, very overweight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Aidan was 22 stone, I believe, or something.
Right.
Something like that. And he ended up losing like 9-10 stone, and he's got loose skin now.
Yeah.
And I'd asked him a question because he's getting into bodybuilding, so he wanted to step on stage. So I'd asked him a question like, did he feel like the loose skin would affect his placing? And what he said to me is like, I've already got my medal before I stepped on stage. This is my medal. And he says, if they think the loose skin's going to affect my placing, that's up to them. But he's like, I won my medal when I lost all this weight, and my loose skin is a badge of honour.
Oh, look at that. Jen up, got goosebumps, mate.
A badge of honour, he said.
Got goosebumps. That's crazy, man.
And I was like, wow. Like, what a way to look at it. He could look at himself and go, oh, I've got this loose skin. I've got that. Look at, oh, it's a shame for me. Oh, I'm going to get surgery. No, he's like, that shows from where I've came from to where I am. Yeah,
it's like my war wounds almost, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
My war, the scratches.
Yeah, no, that was the right term. War wounds, yeah.
Maybe we need to get Aidan on as well and speak to him, man, because that's class. I actually don't really know, like I said, much about Aidan's story or anything, but
I mean, I would recommend it because, I mean, like I said, he inspired me, and I've met a lot of inspirational people, and that was a moment in my life where I went, right, I need to change my way of thinking and learn to love myself more.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. And I think it's also like, you know, quite brave of you to speak about it as well, because people will look up to you. And people maybe, you know, when you said when you took your top off and you were uncomfortable and maybe you're a wee bit fluffier after a gaining phase, you're still absolutely massive and still probably get abs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think then people would then look at you and be like, oh, shut up.
Just,
like, you're
just
no
attention,
right.
or you're just an attention seeker. You're just saying that you're fishing for compliments.
Exactly.
And that's genuinely not the way it is. It's genuinely, I know that I'm not at my best, or let's turn this round. Bearing in mind, people are used to seeing me in a certain way, and people expect me to look a certain way, and then they'll look at me when I'm slightly off of that. In my head, I've got 1 million followers, so like it's like when you're used to me looking a certain way. So if I'm slightly away from that, I've got 1 million people judging me. That's what it feels like. And I found that quite hard. Like, obviously, I felt like I was almost putting out an image of myself all the time to please others rather than just doing it for me. I went on a massive bulk last year, at the start of last year. And I put bulking off for so long prior to coming off Love Island because I didn't want to put on weight because I knew I would get backlash. So I put it off for 4 years nearly. 3 years, sorry. And I was like, right, do you know what? Who gives a fuck? Let's do it. Like, whatever, I'll show them. So I'd done it. Obviously, I went up to 105 kilos. Right? So I was heavy. But I knew what I was doing. And the amount of newspapers were writing articles about me, and people were accusing me of having fillers. People were just saying I've let myself go day in, day out, constantly. And I never let people's opinion bother me. But it's funny because it's the comments that I was getting when I was a kid, and it brought back these sort of traumas towards me. And I was very, very close to giving up and just started dieting, but I continued my bulk. I finished it off, and then I got shredded for my show. And throughout that whole process of getting shredded, like, all that was in the back of my head, wait till I fucking show yous, wait till I show yous. And it gave me that motivation again. That's what it was. So for me, I forgot the point of what we were actually talking about, but we're way off. But yeah, like the pressures are always there for me. Like, I always feel like I have to look a certain way, like, to, even when I go out now, like, before you could just sometimes just shove something on and go out, but like, you're like, oh well, what if someone asks for a photo or whatever, you know?
All over the place. And I wanted to quickly touch on that hate that you received as well, because I've followed you for ages, obviously, when, you know, first Scottish guy to go on Love Island, loved the season and all that. And I remember the bulk, was it when you were in Dubai, maybe?
I was in Dubai. And that was what was quite good though, because when I was in Dubai, first of all, no one gives a shit who you are in Dubai.
Dubai, mate.
No one gives a shit who you are, because it's always someone bigger. You're in the gym, but fucking AJ's in the gym.
I know,
and no one even gives a shit that AJ's in the gym, you know?
I know, it's crazy, man.
That's just the way it is. It's the type of place it is. And, you know, I just felt like I'd go in, do my bulk, no one gave a fuck. Or if people seen me, like, it was a bodybuilding gym I was in, so they just knew I was bulking.
Was it Banush?
Banush, yeah. And everyone just knew you're bulking. You see people all the time in that gym. You see someone that was shredded a few weeks ago, and then they're like, you know, they're bulking. You just know they know what they're doing. Whereas when I started getting videos of me in social media in particular, it actually worked out quite well, because a few of my TikToks actually went viral purely just because my face was fucking round as a ball. But I mean, it's obviously difficult to hear that about yourself daily, and when you know it's true as well. I knew it was true. I knew I didn't look the same. And for me, like, let's get nothing twisted. I'm a nice enough guy, but I'm vain. I'm not gonna lie, I'm vain. Like, I like to look good. So when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and like, I know I don't look good, and I know what they're saying is true, it was hard.
I think, yeah, for sure. And in terms of like the hate as well, like, obviously I've not really received that many hate, but you see like the odd wee kind of few comments in your TikToks and all that, and obviously I just kind of brush it off, I laugh at it. But I think with yourself personally, obviously on the scale that it is, it must have been like so hard, because like you said, you're that kind of guy that could kind of brush off things, but when it's like all the time, because I remember looking at your posts and your videos and your views that you done in the gym, and it was like all the comments was just terrible. That, man. And I think as well, you know, hearing about your story growing up, that must have like really like, oh, you felt that in there, because it was similar.
What was the hardest thing about it is when I came off Love Island, again, Love Island, but it's honestly, I feel like when we talk about my life, you know, you have like before and after Christ.
You've got it, yeah.
You've got like before, it's like before and after Love Island. Like, that's how big this event is in my life. But just after I came off the show, right, a lot of the guys that I was hanging about with, for example, Michael was one of my very good friends in there, and he was getting like people taking pictures of his door, like his house door, and being like, I know where you fucking live, like, because he dumped Amber, like, to that level. And then he's like, this guy's like, you know what Michael's like, that guy, he's really crying, like, showing me this, like, really fucking,
man,
and then
terrifying,
we're walking down the street, you fucking dick, this and that to him. Right, and all I'm ever getting is, Anton, we love you.
Fucking, your mum shaves your ass.
Like literally. But I'm getting all this love. I'm getting messages. We love you. You're the best. You were the best on Love Island, and I just got that for what seemed forever. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I just start getting all this fucking hate about my appearance in particular. And I was just like, what the fuck? It's like I went from hero to zero just because I fucking deliberately went in my build.
I
just didn't get it. And I was just like. And I felt myself trying to explain what I was doing. But the more I do that, the more people would just come back at me. So I just decided just to get fucking on with it. And it went away when, like I said, when I done my cut, and then I done this thing deliberately when I cut, and I went, look at my fucking face now. Look at my face. And the thing was as well, people saying, your face is like that because you're on gear. I was like, well, if I'm on gear, first of all, when I fucking cut right down before a bodybuilding show, would I not be heavily on fucking gear? So my face would be like, my face is thin now. It was a ball before, etc. And that was it. And it was what the hardest thing is getting accused of things that you don't do, like Botox, taking steroids, all this shit that go with it. That's the hard thing. Because you feel like when you defend yourself, people then think you're lying.
They're not going to listen.
Because you're defending yourself, they're like, well, if you weren't doing it, you would just ignore it. But then if you just ignore, you can't win. It's difficult. It is. But again, the pros outweigh the cons, definitely, with this life.
And you looked amazing on stage, by the way, bro. You looked class, man. You looked class.
It was fucking hard.
I know. I've actually got the next guest coming on is a guy called Josh Campbell. So he's like growing like rapidly, but basically I think he's only 18, I don't know, but he's basically going to Vegas to do like the natural Mr. Olympia and that. He done 5 shows there and just won everything, won all the overalls and that as well. So because I don't really understand, like obviously I'm in the gym kind of, but me as a kind of PT, I'm more like kind of lifestyle based, so I don't really understand fully about kind of bodybuilding and stuff like that as well. And that, see, in terms of like the body dysmorphia as well, I feel like that sometimes brought me down as a PT, because I'm not your typical, what a typical kind of PT maybe looks like, or the ideal kind of image of it, if you want to say. You know, I'm not massive or shredded to the bone all year round, and you maybe wouldn't look at me and think, oh, he's in amazing shape. So I feel like that led me for ages, like I had no place in the industry at all. That's
probably in your head, I think.
It is.
That's you having self-doubt yourself as a fat young kid.
I think so. I know. And I think obviously my journey's kind of different. I was very, very overweight, and I've lost the weight, and I've not really got much interest in bodybuilding or anything. I like going to the gym and staying fit.
Don't do it, mate. And the reason I say that is we already are body dysmorphic. Let's get nothing twisted. Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, we're getting better, but we've still got body dysmorphic issues. Bodybuilding makes it 10 times worse. Yeah, for sure. Because when you get that shredded, then you're like comparing yourself to other people. Then you're like, well, I need to be a little bit bigger. I need to be a little bit leaner. Like, it's the worst I've ever been in my life with it. Because I was so focused on what I had to improve on rather than how good I was looking. So I didn't get to enjoy the process at all. And that's why I decided after that show. I actually decided when I was filming the documentary, and after meeting the boys on the Body Shame documentary, was when I was like, nah, I need to step away from this now and not do bodybuilding again. And I did. You don't think you'll ever go on stage again? I never ever say never. Yeah. But it's not likely. It's not likely. It just doesn't align with my goals at the minute. Yeah, no, I respect that, man. I respect that. And I want to also talk about your mum, all right? Because you guys have such a special relationship. I'm a bit of a mummy's boy as well, for sure. So yeah, like you and your mum have such a special bond, and obviously now you're in business together as well. So my mum's part of the Candy Crew as well. So basically, going back to the Candy Crew, what these were, she created them in 1991. These characters, right, to promote the popcorn as a healthy snack. Right. Okay. But no one cared about it back then. No one cared about... They just seen popcorn as, you'll need that in the cinemas. That's what it was tagged as. So it was a massive flop. And what then happened was, over the years, she was bringing them in and out the box. And I grew up with these characters, right? So when I then decided to go down that route, I said, I want to use the characters, but I want to rebrand them into the Can Do Crew, because she called them Corns people. So I rebranded them into the Can Do Crew, and then gave them, each individual member, basically a philosophy to teach, rather than it just being popcorn people telling a story. And that's how it's grew. And that's how we're in business together, doing that side of things. But my mum's like... She's my best friend, she's my business mentor, she's literally everything all rolled into one. We just have this... People call it weird. Like,
nah, I don't think it's weird at all, man.
How close I am. Like, we'd go to Ibiza when I was younger with the boys, and I'd be on the phone to my mum like twice a day. And they'd be like, Anton, what the fuck are you doing? Like you cannot speak to your mum for 5 days, we're away. I was like, no. Like, we speak every day, we see each other every day. Like, that's just how it is. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, I think that a massive side of that was my mum's story. She was actually adopted when she was a kid.
Oh, right.
Her youngest brother died when he was 21, and she had 3 miscarriages. So naturally, she was always like, when I was born, it was like I was her everything. Yeah. And that's the way I've been brought up, and that's why I'm so close to her as well. Yeah.
No, I always remember seeing her on like TV shows or videos and stuff, and for everything that she's obviously went through as well, she seems like such a strong character. And it's never ever weird to love your mum, bro.
No,
never.
No, it's not. But people do. People think it was a strange relationship because how close we are, especially like girlfriends I've been with, because like it's like a fucking dick swinging contest between my mum and the girlfriend. I swear to God, it's just like, oh, well, I'll do that for you. I'll do that for you, better. Like, whoa,
fighting against each other, yes, that's class. No, you have a very special relationship, bro. It's good to see, man. And what to kind of round things up then, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know it's a bit of a kind of cliche question, but I'm always interested to hear people's answers. What is the perfect kind of future for you? What does that look like?
So the biggest thing for me, first and foremost, as we touched on, is to get as many kids as possible following the Can Do Crew philosophies, because I think that is massive to help change the youth, like we spoke about. I think it's going in the wrong direction. For me personally, like, I think that just the vision's always been the same for me, and the mission's always been the same. It's to motivate and inspire as many people as possible to live a healthier, well-balanced lifestyle. And that's what I continue to do from that point of view. And I've been able to do it, like I said, on a bigger scale I can imagine. So for me though, I set myself this goal a long time back. I want to be the face of health and fitness in the UK, bigger than Joe Witch.
That's amazing, my goal. Bro. Yeah, that's amazing, bro. You got to shoot for the stars, mate. And listen, you're well on the right track and well on the right path to doing it. And again, you've got that kind of past there of that's always been your goal, and you've never lost sight of that as well. So I've got no doubt in my mind that you'll get it, bro, for sure. For sure, class, man. Right, as we close up every episode of the Don Diaries, I've asked the guest Anton a question before he's came on, and he's essentially wrote his diary entry, and now we'll ask you, the public, to write theirs in as well. So the question was, and we've actually got the diary this week, by the way. I was just reading off the phone, so we've actually got the diary. What's an uncomfortable truth you've come to realise about yourself or the world around you? And you said handling fame.
Yeah, it was really difficult in the sense of I changed. Like, as much as we've sat here and we've spoke about a lot of the positives, I changed a lot. I went from being like this very humble, nice guy to a dickhead, like, and thought I was better than a lot of people. And I never ever thought that would have happened to me. But when that many people are blowing smoke up your ass and you have that much power, like, it's mad. I mean, I don't know how much time we have to spend on this section.
Well, just whatever you want, mate. Talk about it. Yeah, go for it, man.
This is a prime example, and that's when I first realised I'd changed a lot. So when I came off the show, I had 86 PAs in 90 days to do. So the PAs, you go to the club, you get paid a certain amount. I'll touch base on that, actually. You got paid $3,000 to go and stand in a club for an hour.
That's crazy. Okay? And are you drinking in that or no? Like,
yeah, you're drinking. You can drink if you want. You can drink as much as you want. You can do what you want. Yeah. Take girls back the lot. Like, that was part of the process. Like, it was just this unreal, people screaming your name, etc. So you come off this show, you're in that kind of money for standing in a nightclub. So the first one I do, I go down and I'm like, people are screaming for me. Anyway, take the photos. We end up sitting with a few of my mates because it's my first one. We have a few drinks. So we finish the bottle of vodka, right? So naive me, first one, go up to the bar, getting paid good money to be there. Like, go up to the bar and I'm like, can I have another bottle, please? Like, can they give me the bottle? I said, how much is it? Anton, you don't have to pay, you're like a guest. I went, no, where I'm from, I'll pay for anything. And they went, really? Like, this never happened before. I went, no, that's how it works. Paid it, right? First one. Fast forward to 2 months, 3 months. Bearing in mind, I've smashed PAs at this point.
Yeah.
I've got people scheming for me everywhere I go. Like, my posters are all over the place. I'm starting to believe my own bull. I've been on stage with Craig David at the T5 pool party in Ibiza, standing next to Craig David. I think I'm fucking famous. I've got more followers than Craig David.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Do you?
fucking,
Yeah.
I still do actually. Yeah.
Fuck you, Craig David.
You're shit anyway. But that's the level you're starting to believe in your head at this point. Bearing in mind I'm still a 24-year-old kid. So anyway, I have a couple of days off my PAs, but I want to go out with my mates because I'm back in Glasgow. So I arranged to go to one of the clubs, but like I literally, this was the level you had to go to, and this wasn't even being a dick at this point. This was just the truth. So I phoned up one of the clubs and I said to them, "Look, I'm looking to come along tonight. Is it possible to have some security around the booth that I'm in and put out Anton, of course?" So I go to this club. They've put 3 security around my booth, and that was what you had to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't get left alone.
Yeah.
Fill me with 4 bottles, so they give me like a bottle of gin, 2 bottles of vodka and something else. Can't even remember what it was. So I'm back with my boys, right, for the first time. They're seeing all this for the first time, really. I'm inviting girls. Obviously, I can pull any girl I want in just because they want to be in my booth. So I'm just going, you come in, you come in, you come in.
Feel like the boy.
Fucking security they are, like thinking I'm a fucking bollocks. Obviously, having a few drinks. So we finish off the vodka, we finish off all the drink, right? And I'm not joking about an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? Because there's that many people in my booth now. And I went like that to the manager. I says, listen, can we have some more bottles, please? I went, Anton, like, what? No due respect, like we've gave you that, like, you'll have to pay for the next one. I looked at him, right? And I went, mate, do you know how much it would cost you for me to sit in your club right now? I went, fuck this. Took the big group of people, phoned another club in Glasgow, got the exact same service in another club within the space like that because I just had to make a phone call because Anton from Love Island's coming in. And I sat down with my new group of people, new bottles. That's how much I'd changed, but that's how much power I had when I first came off the show. And I never ever really, I never took it in at that point and just was like, well, fuck you. Like, I'm fucking $3,000 to sit in your fucking club and you're arguing over an 80 quid bottle of fucking vodka. That's the way I look. That's honestly the way I thought. But from that kid, literally 2 months prior to that, like I said, was offering to fucking pay. It just changed me a lot. So I was really surprised at myself at how much I changed. And with that as well, the people around me changed as well. Like, a lot of my friends really changed the way they were with me. Not because I'd changed prior to that, just like sucking up my arse.
But as in, like, they were like wanting things?
No, but like, that is that first of all.
Yeah.
Like, going out to clubs, Anton, can you sort us guest list? Well, no. And secondly, well, thanks for inviting me fucking out tonight.
I know.
But anyway, not the point.
Yeah.
But as well, like, just agreeing with everything that you fucking said and done. It's like, that's not my mate. Fucking slag me off. You want to slag me off.
Yeah.
But
Tell me that I'm doing something wrong or something. Yeah,
rather than fucking sucking up your arse.
Yeah.
And that really, really changed me for a little bit of time. But you can imagine who brought me right back down to earth.
Mummy.
My mum. And the way she did was when I came back from my PA tour, sat down at the table, had dinner, just left my plate and walked up and went away, and she went, what the fuck are you doing? I went, what do you mean? And she went, you're not a fucking celebrity in this house. Get your fucking plates and put them in the dishwasher. And I just looked and I thought, I would never have done that before because I was so used to staying in hotels and whatever. So yeah, for me, going back to what I put in there, just that's probably the thing that I've struggled with, was really dealing with fame. I really struggled with that at that point. Listen,
I think it's actually good that you're that self-aware that, you know, you've realised that you were a wee dick back then, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's actually crazy to see how quickly, you know, it changed as well. So it was only like, what, a couple of months then, and you could see yourself going down. But again, you could be sitting here right now and you could still be that person, and you've not been as well. So you've learned from the mistakes, the failures, like we
and I'll
spoke
never
about.
ever lie. Like, I mean, obviously 9 times out of 10, like, we want to have positive conversations, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a saint, I've done this, I've done that. Like, I've had my bad times as well, and I've made some silly mistakes and hurt some people close to me by being that way. But I've learned from it, and I'll never ever do it again. And that's what life's about, I suppose.
Yeah, no, for sure. Learning from the mistakes, and then you grow from that as well. And yeah, thank you so much again, mate, for coming through. I really do appreciate it. It's been good to actually hear about your story as well, and not just, I think a lot of people would look at you and just see Love Island, but they don't really know, like, you know, the stories before, the good things that you're doing just now. So yeah, top guy, bro. Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it, bro.
No problem.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.